Welcome to another interview in the series Academics Today. My guest is Professor Dr. Algernon Nutall-Casey, Emeritus from Bathurst University in Wyoming. And he has a lot of interesting things to say, and if I might welcome you, Professor. Hello, yes, I'm very pleased to be here tonight to discuss my ideas with you and the wider public. Thank you, Professor. You have written very many articles and books which have become standard works in your fields. You seem to have covered anthropology and history and philosophy and many fields. Up to the time when you were serving as a university professor in the full capacity, but when you retired or became a professor emeritus, you seem to have come out with some rather, how can I put it, controversial ideas, or ideas that didn't quite fit the consensus of academic opinion relating to such issues as the nature of the weather, UFOs, and the origins of man. Quite so. Well, let's begin with your view of the weather. In what way does your view differ from that of mainstream opinion? Well, I think that the weather has a personality. It consciously intrudes into history. I see. Can you give some examples of what you mean? Quite. Let's take the Battle of Waterloo. It was only because the land was waterlogged and sogged that Napoleon didn't win. But surely that just be coincidence. Well, what about the strange tornadoes that hit Paris the year before the French Revolution? Oh, perhaps you could tell us about that. It was on the 13th of July, 1788, precisely 1 year before the French Revolution began in earnest, on the 14th of July, 1789. And it was devastating. It was unusual. So you think this was a kind of warning sign? Yes, quite. It happens even today. I mean, what about that earthquake in the New York and Washington areas, in an area totally considered to be a non-earthquake area. In fact, it even paid a toll of damage on the Washington Monument. I see. And what do you think the weather is trying to tell us? It's obviously trying to tell us, look here, mankind, you wake up, you can't go on like this, you know, and I think it sort of has a plan, a sort of secret agenda, if you like. I see, Professor, yes. And what do your colleagues think about it? Well, they don't follow my argument, and basically it's on the basis of statistics. And take a Spanish Armada. Had it not been for that freak storm in the Channel, we'd be speaking Spanish now, presumably. I see. Very interesting. What about your opinion on extraterrestrial life, on UFOs? I've seen them. I was once on the River Rhine one night, and a whole squadron of these things came over, sort of flaxed, rather like some kind of electrical current, you know, except they were in a formation. And I said, well, that's strange, and I looked in a different direction, and the one small point of light shot from one end of the horizon to the other in a way that obviously no aircraft or even meteorite could have established. So, oh yes, have you had any contacts with, say, extraterrestrial life? No, not directly. I wouldn't expect it either. Why would they want to talk to an old codger like me? Oh, but I mean, it's pretty clear. And why is it then, Professor, that mainstream opinion either doesn't hold with this view of yours or simply ignores it? Well, that's it. It ignores it. It can't explain it. It doesn't fit into any normal category of, logical thought. So if they can't do that, it doesn't exist, or it's not worth bothering with. But it keeps on happening. What about that one that came right down on the dome of the rock? I mean, if it had been anything else, we'd have accepted it. But because our puny little minds can't understand why, they simply overlook it. I see, Professor. I think I'm getting your point. In other words, you're saying that the mind has a kind of censorship role that if it can absorb information, it will accept it and make a theory. If it can't, it at least academic higher opinion simply ignores it. Precisely, it's the man in the street, it's the superstitious person who actually is more realistic than your average academic now. Yeah. Let's come on to the question of anthropology. You did a lot of research, field work, I might say, on the question of finding the so-called missing link. That is so, yes. In fact, they say that you were, I don't know, in various desert areas of the earth, mainly in Africa. I think mainly there, Ethiopia, right down to Zimbabwe and even South Africa. Yes, very, very isolated areas, and it was also in Java and Indonesia, places like that, China. I see. Now, some people say that this strange, I wouldn't say strange, but this unexpected change in your attitude to things occurred as a result of your isolation. Would you agree with that? Well, I mean, if you're on your own and, you've got time to think about things, it's like in the desert, all the great religions start in the desert, and that's where you get your basic insights, otherwise